Welcome to another video, guys. Today we're gonna be talking about the importance of Amius and how you can easily defeat him each time you need to face him. This is one of the more confusing and complicated bosses in Raid right now, but he is definitely an easy task once you actually get the hang of it. But of course, you do need to have a few specific champions, or more like a few champions that fit a specific role, in order to actually do well against him. So in this video I'm gonna try my best to explain how you could be fighting him, talk about the fight mechanics, the important buffs, debuffs, the important stats you need to acquire, and everything you need to know in order to beat this guy. So I hope you find the video helpful. If you do, a like and subscribe would be awesome. And don't forget you can check me out live on stream each Tuesday and Thursday, where I do my best to help you guys enjoy Raid even more. And I even kill Amius from time to time. And right now the gameplay for this video would be from the last Amius takeover I did, where we managed to clap him. If you want to support the channel for free, download Raid from my premium download link, and you can start yourself a fresh new account with 3 amazing legendaries as soon as you start, with the Ezio chase, with the promo code section. Everything combined really is an insane start right now. But now, let's get into the video. Okay, so like I said, Amius is definitely one of the most complex bosses in the game right now, and yeah, he is basically a mythical, because you need to fight him in both forms, and both are equally hard. The sucky part about fighting this boss is you can only kill him in his main form, so while he's in his alternate form, which does slap a lot harder by the way, if you kill him, he's just gonna revive again, which is definitely very annoying. But you could actually even kill him with something like block revive, or something like a Lydia, and with her passive, that would be good enough to actually kill him. Another very important thing about Amius is it does have a rotation each time. There's a grand total of 5 rotations as far as I know. And right now we can see these are the champions we could be using. Dwarfs, Orcs, Knights Revenant in it, Lizardmen, Sacred Order. Actually, this is Knight Revenant. But yeah, you can actually see all of your champions you have possession of. If you click on the champion section, and here you're gonna get to see every single champion you could be using against this boss. So this is gonna help you better understand what kind of roster you could be picking out from. Obviously, the bigger the roster, the better, but you can literally be fighting this boss even with nothing but epics. That's still gonna actually get you there, even though it is gonna be a bit harder. Let's go quickly through the boss's skills, because they are very important to understand. The thing about Amius is he can start either with his Lunar Storm or with his Rampant Chaos, depending on what you've done against him. Like if you slapped him with a bunch of debuffs, he is gonna start with Rampant Chaos, which removes any block buffs and replaces them with block debuffs instead, and swaps out all of the other important debuffs with other important buffs, and so on and so forth. But the important thing is things like poison, things like HP burn, things like smite will not get converted into anything, because there is no buff that resembles them. So there's that too. The other sucky part about this move is it's also gonna stun your team, so if you are expecting him to go at Rampant Chaos, best be prepared with a block debuffs or a cleanser that's not gonna get stunned by this. For you to resist this stun, you need to have a lot of resistance, or you could build your champion in something like a 4-piece pinpoint so you can actually intercept it the first time, or something along those lines, but that's only gonna work on the first rotation. After that, it's gonna be gone. This thing also is gonna fill Amius' turn meter by 10% for each debuff converted into a buff by this skill. So if you're wondering why the hell is Amius taking so many turns so quickly, well, you probably fucked it up and you gave him a lot of debuffs to convert into buffs. The other really sucky move he has is Lunar Storm, and this thing again attacks all enemies, and before attacking increases the duration of all buffs and decreases the duration of all debuffs on Amius by 1 turn. Heals Amius by 20% of his max HP. The heal increases by 5% for each buff that has its duration increased. Also fills Amius' turn meter by 10% for each debuff that has its duration decreased. So all around, again, he is gonna be quite the speed demon if you're not careful in this fight. If you just try to brute force it, maybe you're gonna be able to, but for that to happen, you need to have some really decked out champions, which most people really don't. So you really gotta understand the fight, and you gotta be careful with the buffs and debuffs against Amius, and that is why for the most part, a lot of the times, it's actually best to actually wait out these 2 moves and only then start attacking with your real attacks, because these are pretty difficult to maneuver depending on the champions you bring. A lot of the time you are actually gonna hurt yourself if you try to start dealing damage before he's done his moves. His A1 is also pretty disgusting. Waxing Potence attacks all enemies, increases the damage inflicted by this skill by 10% for each buff on Amius, also heals Amius by 100% of the damage dealt, so it would be really beneficial to have yourself a block healing debuff on the team, and you really need to time it correctly, because if you actually do play the block healing before he has done his rampant chaos, well, he's just gonna convert it into continuous heal, which is really disgusting. Another thing that's really important to remember is his passives. Whenever an enemy is healed, Amius is also healed by 25%, but don't play around this too much. If you need healing, best heal yourself. He's not taking that much healing out of this. But the really important part about this passive here is whenever an enemy decreases a skill cooldown with an artifact, accessory, mastery, or skill, also decreases the cooldown of Amius' Archon's Ascendance skill by 1 turn, which means he's gonna convert it into his second form a lot sooner. This is very important to note, because if you bring a champion that does skill cooldown reduction, if you bring reflex sets, impulse sets, or even bring the mastery that has a chance of decreasing the cooldown of a skill, this could actually be pretty game breaking for you, so be careful and try to play around this passive as much as you can, because it really sucks fighting the second form for the most part. The second form at the start of Amius' turn plays an Eclipse buff on him for 3 turns. This buff cannot be blocked, removed, transferred, spread, or have its duration increased or decreased by enemies or allies. This skill will be on a 4-turn cooldown at the start of the battle and whenever Amius transforms into his base form. So basically, if you play the game correctly, what's gonna happen in first form is Amius is gonna use Lunar Storm first, then he's gonna use Rampant Chaos, and then you're gonna have a couple of turns where you actually get to do some substantial damage against Amius before he actually transforms into his second form, where he cannot be killed. He's obviously immune to all kinds of CCs like stun, freeze, sleep, everything but the kitchen sink basically. So yeah, don't try to be bringing anything like that. You can't exchange HP or anything like that, so yeah, he is definitely a formidable force. Also, one thing to note is damage based on max HP only deals up to 5% of his max HP. You can't deal more than that, so you can't really brute force yourself into this. If you bring somebody like Marius, that's only gonna be 15% of his HP from each A2, so it is gonna take a while still. And also, another thing very important here, if you have yourself some champions with high blessings, those would probably be the best to bring in this fight, because we have Awakened Weakness. Decrease the damage inflicted by the boss for each awakening level on the target champion up 25%, and also increases the damage received by the boss from each awakened champion by up to 50%. Pretty decent stuff. Boss is also immune to decreased speed and turn meter reduction effect, obviously. Once he swapped into his alternate form, that's where the damage really amps up, and here he becomes very, very dangerous, especially if you actually enter this form with a lot of buffs on your champions. Mainly because of his Blood Moon Vortex, attacks all enemies before attacking, increases the duration of all debuffs, and decreases the duration of all buffs on all enemies by 1 turn. Increases damage inflicted by 5% of the target's max HP for each enemy buff that has its duration decreased. Stacks up to 50%. So if you enter this fight with 3, 4, 5 buffs on your champions, they're gonna be getting their teeth kicked in really hard, and this thing scales off of max HP, so that's gonna be pretty disgusting. Also decreases each enemy's turn meter by 10% for each debuff that has its duration increased. Reduces Amius' decreased turn meter effects for each awakening level on target champions, again up to 10%, so that can be pretty nice. His second skill here removes any block debuffs buffs from enemies and replaces them with block buffs. So be careful using block debuffs loosey-goosey, it is gonna backfire big time, because with block buffs you're gonna have a very bad time against him. Also removes any buffs positively affecting stats and replaces them with their mirrored debuff equivalent, such as increase attack being replaced with decrease attack. Basically everything is opposite here, like what he was doing for himself, here he's doing it for us, but in a negative fashion. And he also places a sleep debuff on all enemies except mythical champions for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be blocked or resisted by any means. Also forces all mythical champions to change form, which is kind of annoying, not gonna lie. But yeah, in this form you actually are gonna be healing for a lot less, because his passive is gonna be reducing your healing with 50% when Amius is under an Eclipse buff. It also ignores shields, block damage, unkillable buffs when Amius is under Eclipse. So yeah, in the second form it's gonna be very hard for you to keep yourself alive, and you gotta be really careful about that. Finally, whenever enemy's cooldown is decreased with an artifact, accessory, mastery, or skill instantly activates Amius' Abyssal Construct skill against a random enemy, and this can be pretty devastating. Like randomly you're living your bestest life and suddenly one of your champion's mastery procs to decrease the skill's cooldown and somebody gets their teeth kicked in out of the blue. That can be pretty annoying indeed. Again, he is immune to everything, same as the other form, and again the awakening thing is pretty good. If you have have yourself good awakened champions, that would be massive to bring. So, enough reading, that was definitely a mouthful, that's what she said, but now let's talk about the important buffs and debuffs you need to be bringing into this fight. As you guys saw, it is going to be very important for you to actually bring yourself a block debuffs champion so you don't get yourself stunned in the first form, so you can actually deal some substantial damage while you're in this form. And another really important thing you need to be bringing is decrease attack, guys. If you don't bring decrease attack, you are going to have a much harder time actually living against this guy, because his attack is really through the roof. Naturally, bringing decrease defense and weaken would be nice, so you can actually deal a little bit more damage, and it's going to be essential to bring yourself heal reduction, because if you don't do that, you're going to have to deal substantially much more damage to the boss if you want to actually outrun his insane healing potential. Obviously, it would be nice if you bring yourself a reviver and somebody that actually can heal you a lot, and you are going to need at least 1 or 2 good nukers, be it just straight out damage, but you can also bring somebody like HP burn, somebody with poisons, and definitely bring somebody with smite. That would help you big time here, because smite is going to be dealing a good chunk of damage against the boss, and it really does pile up. So to recap, bring yourself block debuffs, decrease attack, decrease defense, weaken, block healing, a reviver, a healer, and some good damage potential. So that's 8 rolls from 5 champions. Not the hardest thing in the world to do, because if you have yourself somebody like Venom Mage, he would be an amazing champion to bring here, because he does bring decreased defense, decrease attack, and also decrease healing, as well as a bunch of poisons. And all around, Venom Mage is an absolute unit of a champion to have against this boss. So if you have yourself one laying around, build him right, and you will be having a jolly good time against him. Now let's actually see the stats you need to be bringing against this boss, because even on normal, he is quite the formidable force. And in order to see exactly what kind of stats you need to be bringing against this boss, you can go to Hell Hades, go to the Raid Shadow Legends section, Raid Stages tool at the bottom right, and from here, pick yourself Cursed City of Cintranos, find yourself Amius the Lunar Archon, select difficulty. Let's start off with normal so we don't scare everybody away, and let's see what kind of stats you need to actually bring in order to do things right against this guy. If you want to be landing debuffs against normal Amius, you need yourself 375 accuracy, guys. This is not super hard to bring, but for newer players, obviously this is not going to be the easiest thing in the world. You're actually going to have to build a lot of your champions with a little bit more accuracy chests, accuracy banners, that kind of stuff. And if you are wishing to actually resist anything from this guy, you need to have 555 resistance, which it is nothing to scoff at. It's not very easy to get these kind of stats, and we're still talking about normal here, so you're really gonna need to change the builds of your champions, but it is very well worth it, because the rewards Amius gives really can be insane. Other than that, the boss is 200 speed, and his attack is 16,000, guys. 16,000. So if you don't bring yourself decreased attack, you are gonna be feeling some pretty sick hits. Defense of the boss is 9,000, so again, if you drop defense on it, that'd be pretty amazing. If you have ignore defense, that'd be pretty great. And this guy actually has 50% crit rate. Isn't it normally 15% for bosses? That's kind of weird, but yeah, dude can actually crit a lot. Now let's check out what the hard stats are looking like, and they are indeed gonna be a bit harder. Here's what we have here, almost 500 accuracy, guys. This is no joke, definitely a force to be reckoned with. And the resistance, 655. Again, nothing to scoff at, that's for sure. His speed becomes 250 here, and his attack over 20,000. Defense over 11,000. All around, quite the hard boss to be handling with your champions, but if you build them right, you can do this, guys. On the last account takeover, we literally spent over 30 minutes rebuilding every single champion we decided to bring over there, but at the end, it was very good result, and the dude actually finally managed to beat Amius hard for the first time ever, and he got himself some insane rewards. Yeah, the rewards are quite brutal. This is one of the few places you can get yourself a bunch of extra merciless and supersonic accessories, and you also get yourself 100 remnant summons, which gives you a 2.5% chance of a mythical, which could be absolutely insane. Anyway, that's it for the strategy. Now you can check out how we managed to kill it from the last account takeover we did for this boss, and it really did go smoothly at the end, but it did take quite a while to actually get the hang of it, and also my dumbass forgot that Relentless is actually not a bad set to be bringing against Amius. Getting yourself an extra turn is not a bad thing. Getting yourself a cooldown reduction, that's what gets really punished. Hope you enjoy. Just a random little RNG fuck up at the end. That was definitely gonna happen. Put this thing on. Extra turn insta. Okay, we can do some buffage. We do not want to be increasing these buffs. We want them gone. I should not have used the A2 here. Yeah, using the A2 there is a bad idea. Tio needs to do the A2 after the swap. I could try and sync up Doom Priest so she takes a turn right after this guy stuns us. That'd be very awesome, but that's only gonna work for the first few rotations, I'd say. After that, it's gonna desync with the increased speed buff. This team will clear it. We literally almost did. Okay, without the increased speed, she is perfectly synced, actually. There we go. I maybe should have done the decrease healing first. Don't want any buffs. Yeah, I should have done the A2 right now instead of vice versa. Okay, we're taking the hit without decreased attack on, so that's bad. Could have been worse. Don't kill me! It's a whole lot of damage he's taken. Let's get some of that sexual healing. I'm gonna do this. This actually might be super quick, like this might end up being a speed run. Man lives. We still have one more turn of this, so I'm not gonna be wasting my Tang. We still have HP burn on, so no need to do that. Weakens on. Should be transforming these into the big buffs next turn. He's not gonna go. Okay, we got an extra turn. Another one, that's amazing. I think we might be done. He is transforming next turn. He's gonna make all of these debuffs into buffs anyway, so I'm gonna have to reapply them right after. HP burn still on. He might even be straight up dead. Almost. Okay. Perfect. Get forked. Eat a dick. And boom goes the dynamite. There you go. Easy. See? 3 minutes. Perfect. That was nice now, wasn't it? I liked it. GG. That's gonna be it for this video. I hope you found this helpful, and do what you can to be tackling this boss each time, each rotation, and you are gonna get yourself a lot of extra good gear each month this way, which is gonna help you skyrocket your progress. If you need help on your accounts, check me out live on stream each Tuesday and Thursday, where I do my best to give you guys free account takeovers so you guys can enjoy the game even more. If you want to support the channel for free, download Raid from my premium download link and start Raid the right way. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Crystal5, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.